and welcome to Win Some Loosemore. My name is Dieter and you join me for Why I Like, a series of videos where I take you through games in our collection and I tell you why I like them. Today I'll be telling you why I like The Fox in the Forest. Now, The Fox in the Forest is a two-player only card game, a type of card game called a trick-taking game. It's very simple but has a nice couple of twists. Why don't I show you a bit of how it works and I'll come back and tell you why I like The Fox in the Forest. So here we have the game set up. At the beginning, each player receives one of these reference cards, double-sided, one side telling you what the card powers are and the other side telling you how scoring works. So they each get one of those. We've shuffled all the cards, dealt 13 to each and left a stack here. We flip the top card to see what the trump suit will be, in this case bells, and after deciding who's going to go first or is leading the trick, that person will play a card. Now, as you see, there are three different suits here. We've got the moons, moon stars, the keys and the bells. Those are the three different suits, each from 1 to 11. And if you see again on the reference card, every odd number has a different power that do different things to help you try and win tricks or lose them depending on what you're trying to do. So a trick consists of one player playing one card and the other player playing one card. So for instance, let's just say I am going to play the 8 of keys. Pop that in the middle. My opponent looks at their cards and you have to play keys because the lead person played keys. You have to play keys if you can. So we look through, we definitely have keys. Now, do I want to play higher or lower to win or lose the trick? I want to cull my hand of these low ones, so let's play the 4, which means they play the higher card, so they win the trick. If you win a trick, you place it just face down in your area, so you build up a line of tricks depending on who won it. Now, because they won, they go first. Now, the power of 1, for example, let's look at some of the powers. If you play this, but still lose the trick, you then lead the next time. So I'm going to try and lose this trick. So I play that 1. The suit is the moons. So they have to play that, which they can, so they have to. So even if they play a 2, they're still going to win it. 8, what does 9 do? When determining the winner of the trick with only one 9, treat the 9 as if it were a trump suit. That will come in useful later. So let's just play the 2 again to get rid of these small cards. So play the 2 and the 1. So this side wins the trick, but because the power of the 1, the player that lost it still goes first again. So this happens, you just go back and forth, winning or losing tricks, and then at the end of the round we look at this, and whoever meets any of these things, these are the points they get. Here are the point chips in denominations of 1, 3 and 6, and you count those up. So let's look at the card powers. So 3, for example, all the 3s will be the same no matter of the suit, but all of them will say this: when you play this card, you can exchange the decree card, which is the one that tells us the trump suit, with a card from your hand. Doesn't have to be this. So if I've played this, I say, actually, oops, I've got a few of the low keys. Let's get rid of this 10 so that I can always sneak it out of the way. I now gain this 11 because 11s are useful. That would be what I would play. But then let's say the power of the 7. Here we go. If I was to play the 7, the winner of the trick receives 1 point for each 7 in the trick. So although they've done this, I get to play the 7, and regardless of the end scoring, by winning this trick I have earned myself 1 point for later, and we just go back and forth, back and forth. There are 13 tricks per round once all the cards have been played, and you work out the points, as I said, from this here, see the different amounts, If you get all of the tricks, or nearly all of the tricks, you get 0, so you don't want to get all of them. But if you can manage to force them to take all of them, you also get 6. So there's a good amount of different ways of scoring there, and in a typical game it is first to 21, so that may take 3 or 4 rounds, or in a short game it can be to 16 points. Let's just go through the other powers. So that 11 I showed you, if you start with that card, if you lead with it, if your opponent has a card of that same suit, they must play either the 1, which is good for them but unlikely to happen, or their highest ranked card, so they're less likely to win ones in the future. The 9, as I say, gets treated as trump. 7 we've seen, gives you a point. The 5, you get to take one card from this deck and add it into your hand, and then discard one of your cards to the bottom of the deck. And the rest we have seen. So it's very simple, just goes back and forth, playing one card each, one card each. We count up how many tricks people have, we score. First to 21 is the winner. So why do I like the Fox in the Forest? Well, there are a few main reasons, the first of which is it's fun. That's what a game should be, that's why we play games, it's just fun. It's not a heavy, complex, deep strategic game, it's just a fun, fast, just 2-player game, casual sit down. Hey, you want to play Fox and the Forest? Yeah, great, let's do it. Doesn't take very long. I enjoy that, although there is the different length games, 21, 16, depending on how long you want to play for, potentially 25 for the longest one. I'll have to check that again. You can kind of stop whenever you want and be like, oh, we played a couple of rounds, who has the most? Cool, that's it, done. There's no real limit on, well no, we have to keep going until someone has 16 points for the short game. You can just go, we played 2 rounds, who's won? Or we played 1, that was it, that was fun. So that's really nice. So it just feels really relaxed, really comfortable going in playing it. The second main reason I enjoy it, linked to that one, is the scoring itself. I just really enjoy this twist. The fact that it scales, that there's a curve, rather that way I suppose, and then the drop off for how you get different points is just very clever to me. That you either get very few, which gives you the most points, or most of them, which gives you a lot of points. But if you get all of them, or even actually most of them, 10 to 13 of the 13, you get 0. And so you need to get that high balance, but there's that almost game of chicken at the beginning. Who's going to get that 4th one, which means they've now lost their 6 points, they're down to 1. Who's then going to try and build up? Do I now go for the 4 or 5 just to stop them getting it? So I really want 6 and 7 to get the high. Just very clever. It's a really cool, I'll show you again, just a little system there we go, right in there, to get the different amounts, to score the different amounts of points is just very clever. One of the other things I really enjoy is the chips, the little just wooden point chips. They're good, they're just thick, very clear, different size as well as colour and number on it, so it's clear for everybody, whether you're colourblind or anything else. It's just really clear which one's which. You can always just lay it out in front of you, and there's enough that if you need to exchange you can. Weirdly, one of my favourite things about this game is that there are only 3 suits. Strange thing, but in most trick-taking games that I've come across, I'm sure there's many others, but you'll be able to prove me wrong on this, but most of them have 4, if they're played with a traditional deck of cards, things like hearts, those are the things I've played before, where there's 4 suits, and that's great because that's in a larger multiplayer setting. In a 2-player setting, 4 suits kind of would have undermined some of the choices that you're making. But I really enjoy with the 3 suits, if one suit is trump, let's say the keys are trumps, and the other person plays a bells and I don't have a bells, I now have the choice within that strategy of, do I want to get very few tricks or lots of tricks? Do I play the trump suit because I want to win that trick, because I'm going for the high number of tricks, or do I intentionally want to lose it by playing the moons, or the stars, whatever they're called, moons, I think. The other suit, the 3rd suit. So there's just, it focuses your choices much nicer than going, well, I have a 1 in 4 chance of winning whatever the stats are, I'm not a statistician. I could play the trump suit where I've got all of these cards to get rid of, and it means you're more likely clogged up. It's harder to control, and so having that choice of only the 3 suits is really nice. The card powers are good. The artwork is strange to me. It's not necessarily my style. I really like the cover art. That's lovely, and I get that the theming is kind of a fairy tale type thing, but the weird watercolory thing, I don't know art either. Stats are art, not my thing. A little strange, and I like that half of the cards have special powers. That's really cool. But then when the other ones are just look like playing cards, throws me off a little bit. So half of them you've got this, you know, if you like it, lovely art, and then the other half you've just got just whatever the symbols are, so it just looks like a normal playing card. It's there. That's okay. I can't work out if another way would have been better. They've probably tried this, and this is probably the best choice, that actually having art on all of them is confusing as to which ones have special powers, but not having art on it and just having text is then boring to look at. So they've probably figured this out. They're smarter than I am. I'm not a designer, so I'm sure they've worked it out. But that I would have liked maybe something different. It might just be the style. I don't know. I don't know what it is. I'm complaining with no possible solution, which isn't helpful. And detracting from the fact that this is a Why I Like video, and I really like this game. If you're looking for a 2-player only trick-taking game, and not just a larger trick-taking game, which can work with 2 players, because usually it doesn't work as well in 2 players, this is great. It's relatively inexpensive. I'll put a link below where you can find it for relatively cheap. It's just a good game, and it's all in this small little box, nice and simple. The insert holds exactly everything it needs to, just a place for the cards and a place for the tokens, and then a very simple manual on top. Oh, a quick note on the manual. This works really well. Now, I'm not so fussed by the pulling out thing, but what they do, each then section of the rulebook, if I bring it closer you can see, starts with a little bit of the story, which is just really nice. So when you move over to the end of the game, so there's just a little bit of the story. Deep in the woods lived a witch well known for her potions. Desperate travellers were brave. It just sets the scene into this fairy tale fantasy little world, which is just a nice touch. Just keeps you interested through what is still just a very short set of rules, but just keeps you interested throughout. So that is it from me. That is why I like The Fox in the Forest. I hope you enjoyed this little video. Do follow us on Twitter at WSomeElmore, and you can subscribe to this channel if you haven't already, and hit the bell icon to stay notified when we put out new videos, or if we're doing things. We are on Facebook as well. We have a group that you can see, or a page, I don't know the difference, I'm sorry. And we're hoping to set up other things as well, but until then I have been Dieter for Win Some Lose More. Goodbye.